Hey everybody, Luke here. 2,500 points of Vampires versus Warriors of Chaos. Playing all this Orcs and Goblins have really gotten me falling in love with chariots. And I was listening to Garage Hammer podcast, which, by the way, you should listen to if you don't listen to the Garage Hammer guys. They're fantastic. They're talking about the different chariots and rating them. Ben Curry was also doing that recently. And I got to thinking about the Black Coach, and I think it was, a pretty decent chariot. It's got a 3-up armor, it's got a 4-up ward, 6 toughness, plus it's got all that funky magic stuff where it can become ethereal, and it's got the chill grasp attack. I think it's pretty decent. So I wanted to give it a shot. That plus a little bit of Monster Mash. One of the guys on the Vampire Accounts forums, he also has a channel on YouTube, Johnny Crass. He's got a bunch of good stuff to say in terms of Warhammer knowledge. I saw him, he posted a list and a picture where he was running a Zombie Dragon and a Coven Throne, and I felt compelled to do the same thing. So I kind of mixed all those together. That's why I'm playing Vampires and tabled the Orcs and Goblins for an evening. So Warriors of Chaos, that's my opponent. It's a fairly similar list to what he was playing before. Here's the board. Only thing of note, there's 2 buildings, 2 fences, and then Earthblood Mire in the middle that gives regen. Warriors of Chaos are rocking the Laura Nurgle here, so he's got the -1 weapon skill, he's got the toughness buff / debuff, he's got the direct damage, where you have to take a toughness test or it keeps going, and then he has regen. I have Invocation to Heck on my level 1, my Lord level 1, sorry. Then I have Van Hells on my Necromancer level 1. Then I have a BSB rocking the Lore of Death. He's a level 2, and he's got Fate of Biuna and Spirit Leech. So a little up close, short range, death magic murder. Here's the board. I start deploying first and I finish first, but Chaos beats me on the roll and goes first. Going down my list, I have a first Varagulf, 5 dogs, my Black Coach, a horde of ghouls at 35 strong, 3 Varageists. I have my Lord and a Zombie Dragon. He's everything you'd expect with Strength 7 with the Ogre Blade. He's rocking Red Fury, always strike first. So he's the killy guy you expect to see. He has a 4-up ward save. I've got a Vampire level 2 BSB on a Coven Throne, and he's rocking Vampire powers with the -1 leadership aura around him, and if you want to attack him, you have to take a leadership at -3, -4 with his aura. Otherwise, you have to reroll your successful hits. So that's pretty decent. Then I got a second Vargulf, 5 more dogs, proxied for spiders, and then filling out core with some skeletons, with spears and a necromancer in there. Chaos has 5 dogs, a hell cannon. He's got a Gorby's chariot this time he's trying out for the extra toughness and the impact hits. Then he's got some chosen. They end up getting +1 toughness from the War Shrine. His BSB's in there. By the way, I might forget to mention this later. During the first round of combat with the chosen, for some reason, we both thought they were toughness 6. That's BS. They're not toughness 6. They're 4 start, and now they're bumped to 5. That really probably came into play quite a bit, and we didn't realize it till the next turn. So if you're kind of watching at home very attentively, we made a big freaking mistake in favor of Chaos, but we couldn't undo it. So then he's got a War Shrine. He's got a group of warriors filling out his core at level with halberds and a level 4 in there. Then he has a core chariot, a group of dogs. Then he has Skull Crushers with just a musician and some Hellstriders, so pretty decent army. Chaos gets turn 1. He throws his Gorby's chariot right into my dogs. His Hell Cannon off screen there fails its leadership and moves forward. Can't charge anyone, but does move into range of his BSB. Over here, his chariot moves into the dogs, charges them as well. His Skull Crushers have to charge. They fail their leadership, but they don't make it, so they pass the dangerous terrain going over the fence, and then they're fine. Here's you can see his dogs moving around the right, and his chosen move up behind the chariot. Otherwise, over here, he pulls his Hellstriders to the middle, and you can see everyone else is just kind of moving up. During Magic, it's 7 dice to 5. He throws 3 dice at Fleshy Abundance to give regen to his chariot, and it goes off Irresistible Force. He rolls a 6 on the chart, so that's a Strength 10 hit with the small round template. Puts 1 wound on the Lord and kills 3 warriors, so that's not bad there. Leaves him only with 1 die left in the power pool, and he fails to cast with the War Shrine with it. Alright, during close combat, he kills all the dogs but 1, which crumbles it, means you can't overrun. And on the other side, his chariot kills them outright, but he chooses not to overrun, because he's got a lot of stuff looking down at him there. And that's the end of turn 1 for Chaos. Vampire turn 1. I charge my Vargulf and my Coven Throne into his chariot, and my plan is to destroy them and then to overrun and slam into the Chosen and try to get into combat with his BSB with all my defensive tricks, maybe kill it out early. That's what I'm going for. It's not a long distance there, so I'm pretty excited about that. I move my skeletons up so that hopefully I can Van Helsing them or charge them next turn and block the Hell Cannon from coming in, because it's gotten a lot closer. The Zombie Dragon moves up to the middle, but I don't need to commit him too far yet because, he wouldn't really be supported, and, I can just hold back a little bit and give Inspiring Presence. I declare a charge here. The order I'm a little confused on, I believe. I charge my ghouls into his chariot, he holds. I charge the Black Coach into his Hellstriders, and they flee, which panics the dogs, which is why they're fleeing. Then I redirect into his chariot and catch him with the Black Coach, and the ghouls fail. So I think that's why we have two groups fleeing, and there is no chariot anymore. So you can see my Black Coach is very out there. Now it's kind of unprotected. Those Skull Crushers are right there, and they're going to slam into the flank likely. So I fly, and that's okay. I want to test the chariot. One of the reasons I took it is because it's tough as hell. Hopefully it can power up. I would rather charge with it, but I think this is a pretty decent anvil. So I move my Vargulf out of the Skull Crusher's charge arc, but you can see he's going to threaten them. If they go into the chariot, I'll be able to get them right in the butt with them. And then I fly the Vargeists over to the... they're kind of behind the building. The Skull Crushers can't really see them very well. And, in fact, I think they can't even charge them because I think they're in their flank and they can't resolve that charge. Something like that. I had it blocked. But now, if he does charge a Black Coach, I can slam into him with the Vargeists as well. Then I move the ghouls up so that if I need to, I could throw ghouls at him as well and just start getting him toward the center line a little bit. That's what I'm going for there as a battle plan. This is just a picture showing where his guys fled through and everyone passed their I've been fled through panic attempts, whatever. During Magic, it's 9 dice to 5. I pick up all 9 dice and I roll for the Black Coach. And every single die was a 1 or a 2. Had they all been upside down, I think I would have powered that thing up on turn 1 all the way to Ethereal. But they were unfortunately all facing the wrong way, and the 1s and 2s did nothing, which suck. But I've got a pretty decent Magic phase in front of me, so I throw a couple dice at the Coven Throne's ability to reroll hits. I probably should have done wounds, but I did reroll hits. I get an Irresistible Force, no problem there since it's an innate bound ability. That goes off. Then I throw 4 dice at Fate of Buna on his BSB, and he throws all 5 dice to dispel it, and he gets it dispelled. Then I use the remaining dice to cast Van Hells, and I move my skeletons up. I could technically move the Zombie Dragon as well, but I don't want. I really just choose not. I like his positioning. So now I'm blocking with my skeletons. If I don't kill the chariot for some reason, he can't really... Well, he couldn't come into the chariot anyway, but I'm getting the skeletons in the way, and that's what they're there for. So we go to close combat. I land 2 impact hits, and the Pallid Handmaidens go, and the Vampire goes. Kill him before he gets to go, and I overrun. I need a 6 to get into him, and both those dudes, I believe, have Swift Stride, and I roll a 3 and a 4. Maybe a 3 and a 5. But regardless, I was pretty sure I was going to get in. It was very likely. I didn't get in with either of them, and unfortunately, that means that the Vargulf is going to get charged, and he's decent, but he's not going to be supported, so... yeah, it could be the end for Mr. Vargulf there. We'll see what happens. Going to Chaos turn 2, the Skull Crushers go into the Black Coach's side like you'd expect, so I've got a bit of a fight there. Then he goes into the, he brings his Chosen and BSB into my Vargulf, also like you'd expect. His Hellstriders and his dog rally, and then otherwise he just kind of moves up a bit. He's just not too aggressive, but just moving his dudes around. In the Magic phase, it's 7 dice to 4. He throws 2 dice at the War Shrine, and I dispel with 2 dice. And then he gets Miasma off on his Chosen, so they're another -1 to hit. Plus they're marked to Nurgle. Well, they're -1 weapon skill, and then -1 to hit. That's technically how it is. During shooting, he aims at the center of the the Zombie Dragon, and it drifts 10 inches off and lands direct hit on the Coven Throne and clips the Vargulf, which is not good. So the Opal Amulet, it lands and hits both the Vampire and his mount. The Opal Amulet saves the Vampire. I fail my ward save with the Coven Throne, which was also a 4-up ward save, and he multiplies it to 6 wounds. Blows the thing up right away, and I'm like, what just happened? My Vampire BSB falls to the ground, and my Vargulf manages to survive as well. But now, suddenly, the power balance has changed a little bit over here. So, that was fun. Um, in close combat, the BSB, his BSB goes, lands a couple wounds on the Vargolf. I think two that I couldn't save, and then his chosen mop up the other two that I wasn't able to regen. And he chooses not to overrun, so he's just kind of standing there, and now my BSB is in a little bit of trouble. In close combat over here, he comes in, lands, I think, two wounds, which I think he maybe only lands. I forget how many he lands. I throw one back at him with my Chill Grasp attack that basically ignores armor, but I crumble by three. Because I crumble, he does an overrun, and that's the end of the Black Coach. Unfortunately, I think he could have stood up to him, but it was just a lot of attacks, and I didn't roll outstanding. So it's gone, but we go to Vampire turn 2, and I spring my trap. Now, he has a pretty high armor save, but it's going to go from 1 up to 3 up, and he's not getting his charging bonuses with the Juggernauts now. That's all strength 5. I know I don't get stomps and thunder stomps, but I'm feeling pretty good going into here. I've got a rear and a flank. I'm ready to lay some pain on him, and that's a lot of attacks with those frenzied dudes, so we'll see what happens. And then I move my ghouls up. I don't charge them in, but I move them up so they can help out and threaten if anyone tries to get a little too close there. During, over here for the movement, I charge my BSB into the flank of his dogs, and he holds. I needed that to happen, or I needed to redirect him away. I needed to charge him to get out of the way so the zombie dragon and Lord could go into the Chosen, and then I'd go into the Skeletons for some rank bonus, and also for the all-important 2 extra characters between the Necromancer and the Skeleton Champion that I can raise repeatedly so I can keep my Lord out of combat. Out of challenges, so he can just swing at the rank and file. That's my plan there. During Magic, it's 8 dice to 5. I cast Fate of Buna on his Lord. I roll like a 19 on 4 dice with my level 2, which is pretty great. And he brings out his Dispel Scroll. Well, I guess I was expecting because it was a pretty high roll. And then he was able to dispel Van Hell's and the Lord combat on the right there, which would have been nice for re-rolling hits. In close combat, he makes, I think, between all the attacks I throw at him, I think it was 8 armor saves at 3 up. He didn't fail 1, which is not terribly unlikely, but I really needed to land some here. So his riders go, they don't land any wounds that I don't regen, everything's fine, we're even. Then his juggernauts go, 2 of them go to the Vargolf, I make my regens, no problem. Then his last juggernaut goes on the Vargeist on the side, lands all 3 wounds and kills it. So it goes from a 3 combat res in my favor to even. And then he has a musician, the only thing he's bought. So I lose and I crumble, and I lose frenzy and I crumble by 1 on each guy. It just was like a Hail Mary for him that happened, and I could not believe it. Like I think it was like 8, maybe 9, just a ton of armor saves. It feels like a million, but it actually was quite a few. He didn't even fail 1, and then that Juggernaut comes out of the blue and punks one of the Vargeists. That's the way it goes, but it was pretty staggering and unexpected. Over here, I kill the dogs, kill all but 1, and even with his, let's see. Oh, that's right. I had the Beguile and the -1 leadership, so -4, and he passed it and threw some attacks at me, just the 1 that was remaining. But he broke. I chose not to pursue and be all right, right in front of his Lord, and I just reformed so that if he comes into me, he's facing my front. Otherwise, I can go into the flank of his Chosen and help out there. But more importantly, I'm given the -1 leadership to the Chosen there with his aura, and I've got the BSB nearby for anti-crumble measures. In the Lord fight, he declares a challenge with his champion, and I accepted my Skeleton champion. My Lord only ends up killing 3, and his BSB kills my Necromancer, unfortunately, so there goes one of my characters. I had already used a Dispel Scroll, so it wasn't too bad. I end up winning by 2, and he's at a total of -3 on his leadership, so he needs a 6, because of my BSB's aura there. And he fails, but he sticks on his reroll with Insane Courage. So it wasn't it was fairly likely he'd probably get it, but it was close. This was the minute. And this was even the combat, by the way, where we thought he was toughness 6. So strength 7 versus toughness 6. Yeah, I was wounding with my zombie dragon and with my Lord. I probably would have landed a bunch more wounds, and had we been paying attention, at least a couple more would have made that something that probably would have broke him. But we didn't know at the time, and when we figured it out, it was too late to go back. So we go to Chaos turn 3. The wolves go into the rear of my skeletons to give them some combat res and chew up some skellies there. His Hell Cannon tries to charge and fails by like maybe an inch, maybe two, which was lucky because that would have been awful for my skeletons. But it's still threatening there. At least it can't shoot this time. His Hellstriders. Oh, I'm on the wrong slide. Oh yeah, there it is. His Hellstriders move behind here to see if I fail the combat or if he breaks. Regardless, he's got some Hellstriders to come in and mop up those guys as they're hurting a little bit. His War Shrine charges my BSB, and that was pretty much expected. We'll see what happens there. I'm not feeling too good because I've already used my Opal Amulet, and he used most of his points with the Coven Throne that is no longer there. During Magic, it's 3 dice to 2, so it's a very small Magic phase. He gets Curse the Leper off on my Lord and Dragon unit, which reduces them by 2 toughness. Oh, I think I forgot to mention, I have 2 wounds on the Zombie Dragon from his Chosen who swung at him last turn. In close combat, I whiff all my attacks with my Vargolf, every single one of them. He lands a few, and lands a few on the Vargeist, and I crumble all but 1 wound left. I have 1 wound left on that Vargeist. So that is terrible. And I didn't land any. He saved, I mean, I threw a bunch of attacks at him, fewer because I didn't have Frenzy, and he armor saved him. All, but when I wrote down that I whiffed in my notes, that's also adding up the armor save count, and it was just sickening. He couldn't fail one. I think he's up to dang near a dozen, more than a dozen, between a dozen and 15 armor saves that he didn't fail, and they were 3 ups. They weren't even 1 ups. So, geez, just was not going in my favor here. I'm crumbling like crazy. In the Lord fight, the Vampire has to get in a challenge because I have no other champions to accept. I can't decline. And it's with his champion. Now his champion beat my champion last time, rolled on the Eye of the Gods, and got a 6-up ward save. So that's actually pretty good for him. I land 4 wounds on him, and he has just that 6-up ward save because my strength's so high, and he saves 2 of them. I couldn't believe it. So then that triggers Red Fury. I end up landing 2 more. I end up landing 2 more on him, but I mean that ended up saving him quite a bit. At least, I guess, 1 wound plus 5 overkill. So yeah, he ended up saving 2 combat res from that. But yeah, I just couldn't believe the 6-up ward came through for him. No Thunder Stomp from my Dragon because I was locked in the close combat, and I killed the champion right away, so the Dragon couldn't help either. So that entire model's not doing me any good, with the exception of -1 to hit. Which isn't bad, but I hate that. I hate when you kill a guy in a champion and you can't Thunder Stomp the unit. It's just terrible. Oh, so many wasted points. He goes to town with my skeletons, and I get an extra rank to fight because of the spears that they have, but I lose combat by 3. The BSB is nearby, so it negates it. So it's only 2 to each unit. 2 skeletons die, and then as distributed per shooting, 1 crumble goes on the Lord, and 1 crumble goes on the Zombie Dragon. Oh, and the BSB attack, I whiff all 4 attacks, unfortunately, on the chariot there, the War Shrine. And then it's his turn to attack back. He has a -4 leadership to hit me without re-rolling because of Beguile, and he rolls Insane Courage, so he doesn't have any trouble there. He lands a couple of wounds, but I make 2 armor saves at 5 up. That he's only on a 5 up right now, and I make them both, so there's a little luck in my favor, I'll tell you what. So we go to Vampire turn 3. Now we're getting to the spot where it's a fast game because my units are dwindling very quickly, and I'm not taking as many pictures, unfortunately. So the ghouls go into the front. You know, I've got to do something. I don't want them charging in the zombie. I really just have ghouls left in this flank. I don't really want to go into these guys, but they're just going to charge me in the flank otherwise. And it was kind of a decent charge on his lord. So into the Skull Crushers I go. During Magic, it's 3 dice to 2. I only can get off 1 spell, and he shuts down Invocation to Heck. I tried it with my Lord. I was going to bring back the Skeleton Champion so he could accept the challenge that was inevitably going to come from his BSB, and he dispelled it. And that's when I realized, actually, because the Chaos Dogs, wonder if I have a picture. Yeah, right here. Because the Chaos Dogs are my back rank, I couldn't actually regrow the champion. I mean, the best I could have done, I could have healed with the lore attribute a little bit and healed the Zombie Dragon one, but I thought it was funny. I couldn't even bring back the champion. So that was Magic Phase. In close combat, he throws 9 attacks with his Riders first, killing 6 of my ghouls pretty easily. I still have 27 attacks back at him, hitting on 4s. I only land 7, 3 of which were poison. I did not roll very well. And he ends up making all 7 armor saves. Now these ones, because I'm only strength 3, are 1-up, but I can't catch a break on these armor saves. These guys are champions. It's ridiculous. Um, and then I crumble a bunch after his jugs go, and I'm down to like, 1, maybe 1.5 ranks there. And I lost by so much I can't reform at all. The Lord has to get a challenge with his BSB this time, and I land 4 wounds. He has a 6+ armor save. That's all he has left, and he saves 2 of them with that damn Dawnstone. And then I land 1 more with Red Fury. So unfortunately, he's just negating a lot of my overkill. But because I'm in the challenge again, the Zombie Dragon doesn't get to attack the rank and file. No Thunder Stomps, no breaths, anything fun like that. In fact, I had already used the breath once in the first challenge, I think. And it maybe did 1 wound. But yeah, I'm not getting the benefit out of him, which is unfortunate, and Chaos is really dominating in that respect. But I end up winning combat, and he doesn't have his BSB anymore from the challenge after eating him, and I break and run him down with both the skeletons. The dogs flee behind, but I don't care about him. I run him down with both, and then I get out of the charge arc of the skeletons are actually out of the charge arc of the Hell Cannon there. You don't measure from the guys on the side or from the tray, it's from the actual model. But he can actually see the Zombie Dragon, so he will probably charge my Zombie Dragon next turn. I couldn't do much about it, I went as far as I could go. And here is a picture of the end of turn. So I'm severely diminished, I'm really losing this game, but maybe something can happen. Over here, his Hell Cannon's going to charge Lord, fails its leadership test, and has to charge the skeletons. So it's going to slams into their flank. Those poor guys are dead. The Hell Striders move over here to support, but there's really nothing they need to do. I'm locked up, and I'm losing left and right. During Magic, it's 6 dice to 3. He 3 dice Rancid Visitations on my Lord. It goes off. I wasn't able to dispel it. He gets 6. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even try to dispel it. He rolled really high on his 3 dice, so I didn't even have a shot. So he rolls 6 strength 5 hits, rolls pretty well. We distribute them for shooting, and they all fall on the Zombie Dragon, which is good and bad. He has enough that he could kill the Zombie Dragon, but he won't get the points for it unless he kills the Lord. And I don't have to worry about my general dying. It may be moot because this game's pretty much over. But he only ends up sticking 2 of the wounds, and which puts the Zombie Dragon at 5 of his 6 wounds, so the Zombie Dragon lives. And the Zombie Dragon passes his toughness test, so he does not get to take D6 strength 5 hits again. So I barely made it out of that one. Then he gets his last few dice to try to cast from the War Shrine to get a Demon Prince, and I irresistibly dispel it with my few dice remaining. During close combat, you can see the skeletons got destroyed and crumbled to a man, except there's 1 left. So there's 1 skeleton blocking up the Hell Cannon. Again, kind of moot at this point. Yeah, over here, I think I forgot to show that in my notes. The BSB finally gets eaten. I whiff all my attacks again, and he lands a couple of attacks with only a 5-up armor. I couldn't really stand. I stood longer than I should have. So he gets eaten, and the War Shrine reforms. And then we go over here. I end up landing 4 wounds, and finally, he picks up the dice, and he rolls 3 ones of the 4. And it was really moot. The game's over at this point, but it just felt good to have a couple of ghouls standing left take down one of those goddamn skull crushers. Oh, man. So then I crumble, but there's still 1 left. And this is just, I copied and pasted this here just to show what the end of the game looked like. At this point, all I had was a Zombie Dragon, and 2 guys were about to die. The best I could have hoped for was flying the Zombie Dragon away from danger, and out of him being able to cast at me next turn, and then maybe charge the Skull Crushers to get the points there. Because he was high strength, I probably could have done that, but it wasn't really worth playing. The game was a massive loss for the Vampires, and it was a pretty good game. So here's the parting shot. I think this list was fun. It didn't have a lot of chaff, but I just kind of wanted to get them out of the way. In fact, I thought the chaff was kind of going to be a liability with those Skull Crushers, or with those Hellstriders. At least the dogs were. I didn't really have the points to pull any Spirit Host, but that's kind of what I wanted. But when you run Flying Monster Mash like that, it's kind of what you gotta. It's kind of what you get. But I just think it was one of those games where everything was just terrible. Every single leadership test the Chaos guy had to make, he rolled really well, and he had a lot of ones that were clutch. That was either amounts of attacks back or fear and terror. He just made them, and the Skull Crushers were just unbelievably lucky for him. It was one of those games where just the dice, if the dice were flipped around, like I said, if they're upside down, it would have been it would have been terrible for him, and it just happened to go against me today. But I love that black coach. I mean, I know it crumbled, but I desperately want to try it again. I love the freedom of having my Lord on a zombie dragon, but it's a ton of points, and I really lose out in the magic area. I think that Coven Throne's great too. I love using it. I don't think it's probably super competitive with as easy as leadership is to buff up right now, but it sure is fun. It's nice having a couple chariots, a couple Vargeists and Vargulfs. Those guys are just mobility and their strength. I mean, that Thunder Stomp on a Vargulf, oh baby, those guys are great. Anyway, that's the game. It was a pretty stunning loss for the Vampires, but we take it on the chin, and we will be back with another game soon. Thanks, guys.